Okay, I'm going to give you a little assignment here. What would help all students be better students? And just jot some of the ideas from your perspective. What would help kids do better in school? Take a minute and do that. Just give me a couple examples of some things that you folks talked about or jotted down. So more time with the kids and connections with kids is an example. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes, just teacher quality. You know, one thing we did is that any empty seat we had in our school, like in a class, we opened it up to the senior citizens at the senior centers. You change the whole dynamic of a school when you got an 82-year-old lady coming in to take that keyboarding class. I mean, really. Now, I didn't have hundreds of people doing that, but I had probably 15, 16 elderly, senior citizens there that were taking classes, and they would talk to those kids, and the kids were so good and so respectful. It changed the whole behavior in those classes too. It made that teacher's life easier. But of course, these senior citizens often wanted to stay after class and talk to the teacher forever about this, that, or the other thing, but they also baked them food and things like that too. So there were other perks as well. One other thing I got to say before I forget. Sometimes just a lot of little things make a difference. How many of you have pictures taken of your kids? Like for ID pictures? I mean, everybody does, right? Or they get their portraits taken. Anybody use Life Touch as a company? I mean, they got a market on the whole world. I mean, I should have bought stock in Life Touch. But anyway, here's what I did one time. I said, they don't, they make a whole lot of money off our kids, but I'm going, what do I get from them? So I asked them one year for a DVD. And I said, I want the pictures of all 2,600 kids, because every kid had to have their picture taken, whether they bought them or not, for an ID. And I want just their name under it. And what we did, put them in alphabetical order. And that was on a little DVD. And we made that the screensaver on every single computer in our school. Every 5 seconds, a new picture comes up. And I said, that's why we're here. And do you know how quickly you learn kids' names? When I'm sitting on the phone, I got some parents screaming at me for a half hour. I mean, I could learn a lot of names. I mean, it was really powerful. I've got to tell you one other thing I did too. How many of you have walkie-talkies? See, because we all got walkie-talkies now. When I went to Hartford, I got my first walkie-talkie. And I had one parent who just really was the parent. You know the parent, the one you will never forget. When I'm in a nursing home, senile, I'll be screaming out that name. And I was playing with my radio one time, and there's 2 buttons on your radio that I never knew what they did. But I was playing with my radio, 10, 12 minutes into this call, and I pressed one button, and what it did is it caused the phone to go out. And then when I let the button go, it came back. So I had this parent screaming at me, and I just kept clicking it. I'm sorry, I think we have a bad connection. Hang up now. The only other great advice I got was from my major advisor in my doctoral program, Dr. Harry Hartley, who became president of the University of Connecticut. And he said, Steve, when you ever get a call like that and somebody's giving you a really hard time, he said, hang up on them. Just hang up on them. Now, don't walk out of the room now because you won't have heard the whole thing. Hang up while you're talking. No one would ever think you'd hang up on yourself, right? Hey, this stuff is free, okay? I hope you're writing this stuff down. I'll be doing another show at 9 tonight. Okay, so we got a few ideas here, and many of you wrote down different ideas. I'm going to share with you some research that came out of a study out of New York State about 5, 6 years ago. What would help all students be better students? More hands-on activities. More enthusiastic teachers. Like, hey, wow, I want to be here. Not time to make the donuts. The people who get the calendar up the first day of school and start Xing off all the days they don't have to be there. I had a teacher one time remember the Millennium clocks you could get and it would be running down? Well, she had one for her retirement, and she had it set, and it would be going at tenths of a second. And if she was like 2 years away from retirement, every night I would go up and speed it up. 2 years went by quick. Teachers expand their teaching techniques, and that's like, don't stand and lecture to me. I was in Birmingham, Alabama yesterday, and what they say, you know, it's all sit and get. It's all sit and get, you know, and the kids are just getting lectured to. Teachers improve their attitudes, have students learning from students, and teachers show more respect towards students. What's the great thing about that list? It costs no money. It costs no money. We can do all those things. You can do those today. And it's relatively simple. But we don't do it. And see, respect to a 15-year-old isn't the same as it is to a 50-year-old. Now we have to understand that. We've got to look at where that child is at. How do we engage that child? Now, that study went on further to say that a student's drive to achieve academically is often driven more by the student-teacher relationship than any fundamental interest in the subject. Students see positive relationships with teachers as the pillars that come before learning. Wow, that's a revelation. There's not a person in this room who doesn't know that. But do we do it? And do our peers do it? And do we model, you know, how do we make other people do it? You can't make other people do it. But you can model it. I used to stand in front of the school every day and greet kids coming in. Shake their hand, high five, pat them on the back, nice haircut. Hey, that's a beautiful dress you got there, new dress. Hey, great game last night, whatever. Run for governor every day. Run for governor every day. That's a hot topic in this state. But you know, but you got to get elected every day. And you know what? When you start standing out in front of school, what do the Eeyores say? What do the Eeyores say? He won't be out there when it gets cold. I stayed out there every day. Every day. Rain, sleet, you know, dark at night, whatever. The key was, when you start standing out there, what happens? Other people start standing out there. What are the messages we send? How many of you ever read the book First Days of School by Harry Wong? That's, you know, that's great stuff. It's just common sense, but the danger is common sense isn't all that common. Now, we can do all this stuff, but we got to be enthusiastic about being there. You know, think about kids. If you're excited about something, you can almost get just about anybody excited about it if you're excited enough about it. Look at television. Who would have ever thought 20, 30 years ago, some of the shows they have on, that people would watch? But because people are passionate about it, it gets other people excited about it. Right? Dirtiest jobs in the world. Think of that guy that goes around and does all these crappy jobs, and people watch it. Now, who'd have said 30 years, oh, I'm going to make a show about doing lousy jobs. Oh, yeah, that'll be a great show. I'll be able to watch that. But people do. Because if you're excited about it, but you know what? People say, you know, Steve, well, you're selling it to these kids. I'm not selling anything. A salesman is somebody who can get you to buy something you don't really need or want. I'm not a salesman. I couldn't sell you something I don't believe in. I'm passionate about what I do, though. And if you care about kids, this is easy. See, it's not work. It's never been work for me. What is work? Work is doing things I hate to do. Raking the lawn is work. I hire somebody to rake my lawn because I don't want to do that, because that's work. This is the fun stuff.